Zamfara's News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Zamfara State Deputy Governor Mahdi Aliyu impeached, serving senator sworn in as new Deputy Governor. Gunmen abduct 6 in Rigachukung near Kaduna fear grips residents. Parents of 20-year-old truck conductor killed in Kaduna demand justice. On the foreign scene, Ukraine Security Council calls for nationwide state of emergency, which could last 30 days. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Iwela. Thank you for joining. The news in details now. Zamfara State Deputy Governor Mahdi Gusau has been impeached by the State House of Assembly over abuse of office. 20 out of the 24 members of the Assembly voted for the impeachment of the State Deputy Governor after the Speaker of the House read the report of the investigative panel. The panel found Mahdi Gusau guilty on only 1 out of the 3 leveled against him. The report.
The allegations stated that the holder of the office of the Deputy Governor of Zamfara State, Barrister Mahdi Aliyu Muhammad Gusau, is guilty of gross misconduct. You may equally recall that on the 10th day of February 2022, this Honorable House in sitting number 121, through a motion supported by 18 honorable members, declared that the allegation be investigated. Consequent to the above, on the same day, pursuant to the Section 188, subsection 5 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, I requested the Chief Judge of the State for the appointment of a panel to investigate the allegation. Today, being Wednesday, the 23rd day of February 2022, the panel has presented their report to me as the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. The results show that 20 of honorable members say ayes, while 0 no. Therefore, unanimously, the House has voted as ayes. Now, by prohibition of the law, the Deputy Governor of Zamfara State, Barrister Mahdi Aliyu Muhammad Gusau, being guilty of gross misconduct, is removed from office from today, 23rd day of February 2022. Those is what we say aye. Against the nay, I have served.
The 7-man investigative panel report did not indict the Deputy Governor on breach of the Constitution and financial fraud, which were some of the allegations leveled against him, but finds him wanting on abuse of office. The lawmakers had vowed to impeach the Deputy Governor Mahdi Gusau on the allegations of gross misconduct, financial impropriety, and abuse of office. The 7-man investigative panel, led by retired Justice Halidu Soba, earlier submitted its report to some principal officers of the Assembly on Wednesday. Members are expected to screen a new Deputy Governor nominee that Governor Bello may send to avoid creating a vacuum.
Meanwhile, Senator Hassan Nasiha, representing Zamfara Central in the National Assembly, has been sworn in as Deputy Governor of the state. Governor Bello Matawali administered oath of office on Nasiha immediately after the State House of Assembly approved his nomination. Nasiha is a serving senator representing Zamfara Central in the upper legislative chamber. He defected to the APC from the PDP with Governor Bello Matawali. Nasiha was appointed Commissioner for Health, Commerce, Water Resources, Environment, Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs between 1999 and 2007 when Ahmed Yerima served as governor. Nasiha obtains a diploma in nursing and midwifery. Aisha Buhari on Wednesday makes a surprise appearance at the Senate chamber in the National Assembly to witness the laying of the report of the Senate Committee on Constitution Review. Buhari is admitted into the chamber shortly before the Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omo-Agege, laid the report of the Committee on Constitution Review on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 5th Alteration Bills 2022 before his colleagues. The report.
The Nigerian First Lady, Aisha Buhari, was accompanied by the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tale, and a delegation of Nigerian women. They were received with great warmth by the lawmakers. In his remarks, the Senate President Ahmed Lawa said Aisha Buhari was at the National Assembly to show support for a bill seeking more affirmative action for women participation in Parliament. The Senate President Ahmed Lawa assured the First Lady that the Ninth Assembly, while voting on the amendment to the Constitution, as contained in the ad hoc committee's report, would ensure that women participation in governance is commensurate with their population.
This is a report on the Constitution review, and the presence of the First Lady is especially to show her support for one of the bills that want to create an affirmative action for more female parliamentarians in both chambers, in the Senate and the House and the state legislatures. This, we believe, will help in nation building, as such significant participation by our women will add value to not only legislation, but the much desired and needed national development. For us as a nation, our motto is unity and faith, peace and progress. We believe that all hands must be on deck to ensure the participation of each and every segment of our society. And at the moment, you will all agree with me that our women have not been able to get that level of participation commensurate with their population as reflected in our demography. And therefore, what we are trying to do, and this will go through voting later to complete the process in the National Assembly.
Meanwhile, Senate will next week Tuesday vote on the report of the Senate Committee on the Constitutional Review to amend the 1999 Constitution.
In the same vein, the Nigeria First Lady Aisha Buhari was also on Wednesday received into the Green Chamber of the House of Representatives to witness proceedings on the laying of the Constitution Amendment Review report.
Leader of the House, Hassan moved the motion to suspend the rules of the House to welcome in the wife of the President during plenary and was ushered into the chamber at about 12:40 p.m. by the Chief Whip, Tahir Manganu, and Deputy Whip Nkiru Onyejiocha. The First Lady was in the House to witness the laying of the reports of the special ad hoc committees on constitutional amendment. The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, said the First Lady was visiting in her capacity as a woman to show support for the amendment in areas that promote the welfare of women in the country.
The provision of Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for diaspora voting and for related matters. That the House do receive the report of the special ad hoc committee on the review of 1999 Constitution on a bill for an act to alter the provision of Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for the office of the mayor for the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Abuja, and for related matters. That the House do receive the report of the special ad hoc committee on the review of 1997 Constitution on a bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to provide for appointment of minister for an FCT and for related matters.
So, honorable colleagues, that brings me back again to repeat, let us all be here on Wednesday to vote on these clauses. Everybody needs to be here. Otherwise, we will not get our 2/3.
Spokesman of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, highlights key areas of national interest the Constitution Amendments Review intends to address.
Electricity supply. The Constitution is giving the backbone for this to be achievable. I know recently all of you were aware of the acrimony that almost existed and the legal altercation that took place in Rivers State with regards to VAT. Now the Constitution is saying that the VAT is reserved for the exclusive list. Has made it clear, and that is how it's going to be. So it belongs to the federal government. So we are also gender sensitive parliament. Like we mentioned in our legislative agenda, that we are going to project gender issues to give them the fairness that they desire as well as the quality that they desire. And this constitution is asking for special seat in legislature for women, both in the National Assembly and also the houses of assembly all through the nation. Beyond that, also affirmative action for women in political parties. So it's going to be a space for our women because they are more in number. This constitution is saying we are recognizing you in our political party affairs, and the women in the house work so hard to make sure that this comes to fruition, especially my own dear sister, Honorable Kiru Onyojocha. They work so hard to make sure that this is achieved for women, and I think Nigerian women are going to remember them for a very long time.
Over now to security matters. Fear grips residents of Rigachukun in Kaduna following bandit attack. The gunmen abduct 6 people, leaving 1 person with gunshot injuries. Fatima Saleh has more.
This is the particular house where armed bandits were said to have attacked yesterday at about 1 a.m. In this particular house, 2 people were said to have been kidnapped, a boy of 14 and also a girl of about 18 years. But according to report from the neighbors, they said about 6 people who are said to have been kidnapped, where a custom officer was also said to have been attacked, who sustained various degrees of bullet shot injuries, is right now in the hospital receiving treatment. You can see scores of sympathizers trooping in order to sympathize with the family. What seems to have subsided for quite some months now seems to have resurfaced as armed bandits stormed Rigachukun in Igabi local government some 5 kilometers from the heart of Kaduna. The armed bandits attacked about 3 houses, cutting away 6 people, while 1 person sustained various degrees of bullet shot injuries. The grandmother of 2 of the victims says, I am sleeping in my room at about 1 a.m. I heard the banging of the door. They came inside and I said, La ilaha illallah. They said, sleep grandma, sleep grandma. The girl that was sleeping with me, they said, come, let's go. And also the boy. They did not say anything to me. Shah Habilu is 14 years and Khadija is a bride to be soon. Some of the residents of the area also speaks.
I was sleeping around 12 a.m. I have been touching the fence. I thought it's my house, not knowing it's my neighbor's house. I had gunshot. I called him on phone and he said he had it also. He started shouting thieves, thieves, and they started shooting again. We did not come out. Before we could do anything, they again entered into the house. When we came out, after they left, we learned that they have taken 6 people and injured 1. We are really disturbed. We have been here since last night. After we left here, we went to the police station for a meeting with the Assistant Commissioner of Police. This is the first time in this area. We will do meetings as elders and take necessary actions. Up to now, we have not gotten any information from the bandits.
Many calls to the government have been done in order to bring an end to the security challenges bedeviling the nook and crannies of the state, as no one feels safe anymore. Fatima Saleh, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
killing of businessman Abubakar Meikang Arha of Sabun Garing Alhaji Yahuza in Batarawa local government area of Katsina State has ignited protests from locals. Suspected bandits who stormed the village on Tuesday morning went straight to the residence of Alhaji Meikang Arha, caught killing him instantly after he resisted attempts to be abducted. Abdullahi Yamadi has details.
Sabon Alhaji Yahuza, which is just 3 kilometers at the outskirts of the ancient city of Katsina on Batsari Road, was thrown into mourning following the gruesome killing of Alhaji Abu Meikang Arha by suspected bandits. The villagers say they were aware of the attack by the bandits and they have received several calls on their movements and reported same to security operatives but could not avert the attack. Hajia Horera, one of the 3 widows of the deceased, narrates how her husband was killed. At various angles, they broke the doors and windows of our house and they got access into my husband's room, where they brought him out and told him that they are here to kill him. And he was saying Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, almost 6 to 7 times. Thereafter, they killed him. Similarly, Alhaji Abdul Hayatu and Sailuba Abubakar, children of the deceased, said this is the second time their father was attacked and called for more proactive measures to end the incessant killings of innocent people in the country and Katsina State in particular. You see, in the past we were hearing issues or rather cases of attacks, banditry, assassinations and so on and so forth from a distance. We never thought of things like this will come to our place like this. But look at it, my father was assassinated. We have heard all they have said. He attempted giving them money and other valuables, but they refused to take it and just told him that they are here to kill him. We are suspecting assassins. They were here to assassinate him and they have succeeded in doing so. May his soul rest in peace. Amen. Few minutes after the burial, some angry youth took to the streets and protested what they described as the inaction of security operatives, especially men and officers of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. If you are not happy with the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps officers, see the checkpoint just inside this village. They were around when the bandits arrived, but they ran away upon hearing their heavy gunshots. And now they are shooting to scare us. We are not happy with them. And also see their barrack just inside this village. Look at it, just inside this village. Their barrack is here, but they were nowhere to be found during the attack. That's why we are unhappy with them. Look at it. And now they are threatening to do something because we are protesting. Some of the villagers say the men and officers of the NSCDC were overwhelmed by the heavy gunshots fired by the suspected bandits, a situation that forced them to go into hiding for their dear lives. The insecurity in Katsina State is changing its dynamics on daily basis, as hardly a day passes without recording a reported case of attack. In most of the communities attacked by bandits in recent times, there were reports of rape, maltreatment of people, besides taking away all the valuables belonging to the victims. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Crossed Television News, Katsina.
Meanwhile, parents of 20-year-old Masood Adamu, allegedly killed by operatives of Kaduna State Traffic Law Enforcement Agency, Castela, are demanding justice for the deceased. Adamu Imam visits Angursa village in Shira local government area of Bauchi State, where the parents of the late Masood live.
Malam Adamu Mohammed, the father of Masood Adamu, told Trust TV that he was seriously devastated on receipt of the shocking news that his son was killed by some officials of the Kaduna State Traffic Law Enforcement Agency after an argument with them beside the main road within Kaduna Metropolis. According to him, they accused the driver of the tipper and his son, who is working as a conductor, for violating the traffic rules.
My son left home for search of greener pastures in Kaduna a few years ago, only to get killed by people who claimed to be protecting the citizens by enforcing traffic laws.
The biological mother of late Masood, Karimatu Adamu, said she is still grown since she heard the news of the killing of her son, while Sobin Karimatu narrates how she felt.
There is nothing I can do to remedy the tragedy. I submit everything to the will of Allah. I pray for his departed soul to rest in peace. Those that cheated him, God will see us through. I can't quantify how bereaved I am at the moment.
The village head of Agurusa, Malam Yao Haruna, he was part of the delegation visited Kaduna State as representative of the deceased after the incident. He explained further how they beat Masood in several parts of his body. They removed the plate number of the tipper and started beating them together with the driver. Immediately, they started dragging, saying they must take them to their office. Masood ran afterward, but later the Castelli people overpowered him and beat the hell out of him, and he falls close to a culvert and injured his head. That was all. He died on the spot, according to eyewitness. Speaking to Trust TV in a telephone chat, the guardian of the deceased regretted that Masood is a bona fide indigene of Bauchi State. Therefore, there is a need for the two state governors of Bauchi and Kaduna to venture into the case to ensure that it is not swept under the carpet, adding that adequate compensation should be meted out to the family of the murdered young Masood. From Shura Local Government Area, Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Staying with security matters, various speakers at a one-day roundtable on fighting insecurity in Nigeria have identified bottlenecks undermining efforts of addressing the various security challenges plaguing the nation. The forum, tagged "Going for Broke, Fighting Insecurity in Nigeria," was convened by 21st Century Chronicle Roundtable to find solutions to the deteriorating security situation in the country. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Speaking on the theme, Armed Forces and the War Against Insecurity in Nigeria, guest speaker General Leo Irabo, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, highlights some of the major impediments undermining current efforts to defeat armed groups terrorizing the country.
Over some important military ways. This also has been part of the challenge, and that's the reason why I believe that we need to develop our military industrial complex to be able to change the scenario. Why do we need to, at every point in time, depend on external actors to be able to get the wherewithal that we need to be able to bring a change within our environment?
The discussants, former Director Defense Information Major General Chris Olukolade and Dr. Mero Mandara, give perspectives as they identify the other gaps in the fight against insecurity.
We find that intelligence that will be available to enhance both military operations and security operations generally may not be forthcoming as it ought to be. I narrate it as if it's a situation where rivalry.
What we need to do is strategic use of resources. We all know what I mean. Resources are inappropriately used or worse still stolen.
Emir of Sileja Muhammad Awal Ibrahim, the convener Mahmoud Jega, and other participants also speak.
We have to know and perfect our information gathering systems so that we can then feed the various security agents and to ensure action. And I'm also worried about the endemic level of corruption in this country.
And we who say we are chronicling the 21st century, if the country falls apart due to insurgency or insecurity, we will not be able to chronicle not just 21st century but anything at all. So that is the main motivation. Although we are only a year old, but we thought we must really give something back to our community.
Unfortunately, we'll be reacting to the security situation. We haven't been able to take a proactive position on them, and so we react when we see them. The what baffles me most is the emergence of the so-called bandits.
The major takeaway is that we've had some significant improvement in the battle against insecurity, but we are not there yet, and that we should continue to work hard.
I think it was a question about the national security policy, whether we have one or not, but you heard from the CDS, because that is important. The national security is important because we can't have a national security strategy without a clearly defined national security policy.
While Professor Jibrin Ibrahim discussed reducing tension as election year approaches, Dan Agbese discussed media and peace building in Nigeria. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching Trust News Hour, and now after the break. How fire outbreak causes stir at Finance House. Join us again for more details.
Coronavirus disease, COVID-19, is an infectious disease caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus. Most people who fall sick with COVID-19 will experience mild to moderate symptoms and recover without special treatment. However, some will become seriously ill and require medical attention. The virus can spread from an infected person's mouth or nose in small liquid particles when they cough, sneeze, speak, sing, or breathe. These particles range from larger respiratory droplets to smaller aerosols. You can be infected by breathing in the virus if you're near someone who has COVID-19 or by touching a contaminated surface and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. The virus spreads more easily indoors and in crowded settings. Maintain a safe distance from others at least 2 meters even if they don't appear to be sick. Wear a mask in public, especially indoors or when physical distancing is not possible. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay home if you feel unwell. Get vaccinated. Properly fitted masks can help prevent the spread of the virus from the person wearing the mask to others. Masks alone do not protect against COVID-19 and should be combined with physical distancing and hand hygiene. Protect yourself and others around you by knowing the facts and taking appropriate precautions. Follow advice provided by your local health authority.
This message is brought to you by Trust TV.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story. Welcome back from that break. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Let's have another look at the top stories again. Zamfara State Deputy Governor Mahdi Gusau has been impeached by the State House of Assembly over abuse of office as Senator Hassan Nasiha is sworn in as Deputy Governor of the state. Gunmen abduct 6 people, leaving 1 person with gunshot injuries as fear grips residents of Rigachukun of Kaduna State. Moving on now to other news, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA destroy a total of 255 hectares of cannabis farms spread across 5 local government areas of Ondo State in an operation that spanned 7 days. 13 suspects are arrested and 250 kilograms of cannabis seeds as well as 63.85 kilograms cannabis weed are recovered during the operation deep inside 5 major forests: Omolowo Powerline Forest, Ipele Forest, Ala Forest, Ogbese Forest, Ute and Okeluse Forest that spread across 5 local councils areas of the state. A statement signed by the agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, said the exercise codenamed Operation Adub began at Ogbese Forest on Tuesday, 15th February. It lasted till Monday, 21st February, where a suspect, Olatunde Olalua, is arrested in his cannabis farm measuring 10 hectares. In Ipele Forest, the statement said NDLEA operatives arrest Amos Mark, Luke Job, Monday Momo, and Otunua Waya, while 19 hectares of irrigated cannabis plantations were destroyed. One of the suspects who escaped during the farm destruction has been arrested in his house. One Mary Odunije is arrested inside a 10-hectare farm with 16.5 kilograms of cannabis seeds and 4.5 kilograms of processed cannabis in Omolowo Forest. Also recovered in the farm is an irrigation pumping machine with over 700 meters hose for watering the illicit weed. Now, a fire incident at Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning in Abuja gutted basement of the building in the early hours of Wednesday. The fire emanated from an exploded battery which affected about 10 to 16 other batteries in the battery compartment at the basement of the building. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu visits the scene and brings us this report.
At a time when civil servants are expected to resume work for the day, early Wednesday morning, a fire incident is ravaging one of the buildings in the Federal Ministry of Finance in Abuja. Officials on ground say the cause of the fire outbreak is as a result of a spark inside the inverter room of the ministry. In a quest to fact-check details of the fire incident, officials led journalists to the scene for proper verification and to give true account of the events that led to the fire outbreak. While addressing the press, the Director of Media and Publicity at the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Olajide Oshundun, noted that, contrary to reports circulating the media space, the fire outbreak, which was put out a few minutes later, emanated from the basement of the ministry and no other part was affected.
At about 6:50 this morning, the security men noticed smoke which emanated from a room that housed the batteries for the inverters in the ministry. Necessary alarm was raised and the internally provided fire fighting equipment were deployed, and within about 15-20 minutes the fire was put under control. Information was also sent to the Federal Fire Service system, Federal Fire Service. Before they came, everything had been brought under control. The problem, the fire outbreak emanated from an exploded battery, which then affected the other batteries. About 10-16 batteries were affected, and that is what actually happened. That's why I took all of you round. Other than that room, the battery compartment at the basement of the ministry, the fire did not affect any other part of the ministry.
The battery compartment of the building is being evacuated with minimal damage recorded. One cannot really tell if it's a case of negligence or lack of maintenance that has resulted in the fire outbreak that happened at the Federal Ministry of Finance. The ministry's building is located within the Central Business District adjacent the Federal Secretariat in Abuja. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in 6 new national commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Those sworn in were Muhammad Haruna, Niger State, Egbamuche, Mbu, Delta, Okegu, Nnamdi, Abia, Major General Abubakar Al-Ali, retired, Adamawa, Professor Rada Gumus, Belsa, and Sam Elumeku, Ogun. Speaking to State House reporters after the swearing-in ceremony, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu said Nigerians should expect the best out of the INEC now that the Commission has the full complement of its commissioners.
Leaders to by-elections in 4 states of the Federation, and as we plan for the Ekiti and Osun governorship elections, and then as we continue to prepare for the 2023 general elections. We will go on firing on all cylinders now that we have the full complement of commissioners, and Nigerians should expect the best out of the commission.
Still on electoral matters, INEC's Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, says delay in signing the electoral bill does not affect plans for the 2023 elections, insisting that they have a window between February and April to take the necessary steps. He was speaking on Trust TV's morning show, Daybreak.
The Commission must rely on and operate within the confines and ambit of the existing electoral legal framework. As of today, the existing electoral legal framework is the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. The bill that is with the President, as far as the Commission is concerned, is still incoherent, is still not fully completed until the President gives his assent to the bill or refuses his assent, or until the National Assembly overrides the President's veto if the President refuses to give assent. Fundamental aspect of the law relating to the period for the conduct of elections in Nigeria revolves around Section 132, subsection 2, and 178, subsection 2 of the Constitution. Now, as you know, the Constitution is the fundamental law of the land and has pigeonholed the period for the conduct of elections. Now, based on the law, the Commission cannot conduct any election before the 30th day of December 2022, and we cannot conduct the election outside the 29th day of April 2023. But within this particular band, the Commission can recalibrate, readjust, and tweak the days for the conduct of election. So even if the President signs this particular bill by the first week of March, what the Commission can do is just to adjust the date for the conduct of election by just 1 week, and we will still remain within the confines and ambit of the period prescribed by the Constitution for the conduct of elections. So waiting, if the Commission waits for at least an additional 2 weeks before releasing the timetable and schedule of activities for the conduct of the 2023 general elections, we are still within the time frame allowed us by the Constitution and the law.
However, in a contrary opinion, Hope Alive Africa, a civil society group, says the electoral umpire still has procurement and other issues to sort out.
A lot of insightful points, but I can tell you that if it was when he was in the other side, he was a civil society man, now in the INEC management institution, he will speak very differently. And listening to him, I think that President Buhari probably is taking advice from INEC, and that is not correct. The fact is that the current electoral act cannot lead us to anywhere. It can only lead us to more violent political process, fraud in our electoral process that will lack integrity. And we have seen that time and time again. How do you, in 2011, for instance, when we introduced the card reader, the president that introduced it, actually, that same card led the process to class suicide.
Rivers State House of Assembly says it has passed a bill aimed at tackling illegal oil bunkering in the state, now awaiting assent of the state governor. Chairman House Committee on Environment, Dumle Moal, said this in Okrika local government area during a fact-finding mission to the area following the ban on illegal oil refining in the state. The report.
All said the House is taking the war against illegal refinery seriously in order to stop people from dying due to ravaging soot.
We want to inform your local government that the said bill is a legal instrument that will prohibit illegal activities that are causing soot in the state. There are two important things we need to tell people today in the said law. That there is a provision in the law that says those who will continue further after the assentment will go to 6 years imprisonment, no option of fine. There is another provision that says any property you use to continue in that those illegal activities, you will forfeit it to the state government. It means that there is already a law that is now standing before all of us. The minute it is assented to, it will be used to prosecute offenders of the said illegal activities.
We may see them, those who are involved in these businesses, as very rich people, those who are doing well, they have money in our society. But Mr. Chairman, we are dying. I want to sincerely thank you for following up, for complying the level you have done now to the policy of government. And we have also noted your challenges. We will put it, we will take it to the House. Anytime we call on you, because your case and few others we have seen seem to be very peculiar, so that we can give the desired attention. But meanwhile, you have been done notably and creditably well.
In Abukrika local government area, Akuru Tobing gives detail of the council achievements, explaining some of the challenges where they required support.
First step I took was to ensure I destroy all the storage facilities, as we are the selling points. Out of Kano Killing, it's very far. Take you 1 hour, 30 minutes thereabouts to get to passports. The lanes we have, not just the money. The challenge I have with the task force is the owners of equipment. Those that will give us somebody, barges, and tugboats. Fear. And the place is found 1 and 2. And these bunkers, most of them are very harmful. We have done a lot to see how we can destroy that particular area. It's easy, but the materials to get that's our major challenge right now.
Joint Committee on Environment, Oil and Gas also inspects some of the projects executed within the council area.
Two more companies, Owando PLC and Duke Oil, fingered in the importation of toxic fuel into the country, have denied any wrongdoing in the importation of fuel into the country. They said this while submitting all documents relating to the imported toxic fuel by both companies before the House Committee on Petroleum Downstream at the National Assembly on Wednesday. The report.
The two companies who appeared today before the committee are Owando PLC, led by its Chief Operating Officer, Efanga, and Duke Oil, represented by its Managing Director, Lawal Sade. Both claim all due process is followed in the importation of the PMS into the country.
Met and was in line with all the Nigerian and DSTP contractual specifications. This was confirmed by mandatory tests that were conducted at the loading port in Europe, also before discharge in Nigeria by independent NNPC quality inspectors, and finally by agents of the midstream and downstream regulatory authority. It is on this basis that the cargo was certified and accepted for discharge by NNPC. As clearly stated by NNPC last week when they were before this honorable committee, its current inspection protocol does not include testing for methanol content, and thus was not detected by the NNPC quality inspectors.
Immediately, the management of Duke Oil authorized PPMC not to evacuate the cargo further and requested for a recertification. Well, Mr. Chairman, it's important, again, we reiterate the fact that the cargo has been certified by the midstream, and then there's a joint inspection before the discharge, and the specification provided in the contract with NNPC meets up the Nigerian specification, Mr. Chairman.
Members of the committee, however, picked holes in the submission of Managing Director of Duke Oil when he said the company followed all due process. At the same time, said few hours after certification, the company's attention was drawn to the toxic fuel.
Any other documentation that can help this investigation that you have not submitted yet? Because I'm familiar with the whole process end to end. Is there any documentation on record that you have not submitted to us at this point? Thank you.
The CEO said they have 90,000 metric tons supplied to their company. What I want to ask is that this quantity of fuel hasn't been distributed to the marketers. That is one. Two, if it's being distributed, what are the measures taken to save Nigerians from facing the trouble?
A quick intervention by the chairman of the committee, however, gave some respite to the officials.
There is specifications, and you have followed all the due process, right? All the documents that you have given us here. Am I right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So we'll go through the documents, and if there is need for us to call you, we'll do that.
The committee adjourned sitting, promising to invite both men on a date yet to be announced after thorough study of the documents they presented.
Lawmaker representing Ughelli North South Udu Federal Constituency of Delta State, Francis Waebe, says exit of Nigeria Police from contributory pension scheme is to ensure proper remuneration at retirement and also make room for improved welfare for serving police officers. Waebe speaks after public hearing on 2 pension bills by the House Committee on Pension. The lawmaker said that officers and men of the Nigerian police deserve more than they presently get, especially in the light of all the sacrifices they make for national security.
Well, it can't be ruled out, the fact that the police need a better pay, because comparatively they are the lowest paid among the security agencies, and it shouldn't be so. We must not lose sight of the fact that this is a recurring call. In the 6th Assembly it was there, in the 8th Assembly it was there, 99th Assembly. So there is a problem that needs to be solved. And perhaps that problem is the poor pay. But more than the poor pay, even the military, the DSS, who have good pay, they are not part of the contributory pension scheme. So I don't think it is fair for the military and DSS, NIA to be out, and then you put the police there. It's discriminatory, and the Constitution forbids anything that is discriminatory. So this is more than just poor pay, but pay is a crucial part of it.
Now time for us to turn our focus to some business with Chamong Dabeng.
The $4 billion Eurobond sale planned by the Nigerian government has been delayed due to unfavorable market conditions. The sale, which was scheduled for today, was to ease dollar shortages within the country and finance the government's spending plans for 2022. Rising interest rates in developed markets has dampened appetite of foreign investors for risky emerging and frontier market assets. Yields on Nigeria's existing Eurobonds are rising despite Brent crude being only a short crawl away from $100 per barrel at $97, with the escalating Russia-Ukraine tensions being the latest trigger for the oil rally. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund expects Nigeria's interest payments as a percentage of revenue to hit 92% this year, the highest of any country globally. Federal government has sued U.S. bank J.P. Morgan Chase in a London court for gross negligence in its controversial sale of oil prospecting license OPL 245, an oil field reputed to be one of Africa's biggest, worth about $1.3 billion. The Malabo oil scam, which has been under investigation for over 6 years, relates to the billions of dollars paid by oil giants Shell and Eni into a federal government account. Nigerian government says that J.P. Morgan
Morgan was grossly negligent in its decision to transfer funds paid by the energy majors into an escrow account to a company controlled by the country's former oil minister, Dan Etete, instead of into government coffers. The damages sought include cash sent to Etete's company, Malibu Oil and Gas, around $875 million, paid in 3 installments, plus interest, taking the total to over $1.7 billion. Following the withdrawal of services by freight forwarders and clearing agents at both the Ports and Terminal Multipurpose Limited and the Tin Can Island ports in Lagos, the terminals may become congested as more ships berth in the coming days. About 4 ships carrying over 8,000 vehicles will berth at the 2 ports between Wednesday and Monday. This comes as port officials say the terminals were already battling capacity issues, noting that over 4,000 vehicle slots meant to have become vacant were still being occupied by vehicles. According to shipping position data, 4 vessels, Paglia, Grand Sierra Leone, Grand Cotonou, and Grand Cameroon, will be coming with the Grimaldi shipping line to berth at the PTML between February 24th and 28th. Each of the vessels is estimated to come with at least 2,000 vehicles. National Insurance Commission NICOM is partnering with FSD Africa to launch Bima Lab, an accelerator program designed to boost the development and adoption of digital solutions for the insurance sector. The program will borrow from Kenya's Bima Lab 1, Bima Lab 2, and global best practices, with a focus on local experience to provide Nigeria with the most competitive and attractive startup accelerator program. Director Risk and Resilience FSD Africa, Kelvin Masingam, says 10 companies will be selected to participate in the 10-week program that would provide them with the expertise, resources, and support to develop and scale market-ready solutions that bring social and/or commercial value to Nigeria's insurance sector. He noted that across the continent, little knowledge of the insurance industry, coupled with low income, has affected the rate of insurance penetration into the mass market. That's all for business news on Trust TV. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Director of Political Affairs at the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Aderemi Ajibewa, says there is growing concern that if Russia invades Ukraine, consequences of the war will affect West Africa despite its distance from the 2 countries. Ajibewa expressed this concern on the sidelines of 2 days ECOWAS Council of the Wise Retreat and Planning Workshop in Lagos. He said that Russia's invasion of Ukraine will have a huge implication on West African security. Dr. Ajibewa said he is worried that there will be massive proliferation of arms in West Africa, which might give rise to instability and coups in the region if current conflict between Russia and Ukraine escalates into war.
Of all this is that, one, there might be, if there is a war, if it culminated into war, there's the tendency that we might have the ripple effect, just like we have the ripple effect in the 80s and 90s in West Africa here. You will see that most of the private military companies and the private mercenaries, they will be a sort of repercussion when the war finishes there. All those equipment that they were using, the war instrument and other things, as well as the personnel, they want to shift to places like Mali, places like Sudan and other areas. We've witnessed it just like in the case of Libya. After the war, we had a problem here. So the 2 areas is in the militarization of the West African zone as well. And then there will be what we call the mercenaries, the presence of mercenaries here, and then the private military companies, and then we could see all forms of arms transfer being here, all the arms that are used. And we have a policy here, so small arms and light weapons. Those laws will be seen to have been relegated because those guys might pass through other means.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's Security Council has approved plans to declare a state of national emergency in response to the growing threat of a Russian invasion. Council Secretary Oleksiy Danilov said on Wednesday that the measure, which must be formally approved by the parliament, requires stepped-up document and vehicle checks, among others. Danilov said the added security measures are expected to be approved this week. This measure will apply to all parts of Ukraine except for its two Russian-backed eastern separatist regions, Donetsk and Luhansk, where a deadly uprising that has killed more than 14,000 people broke out in 2014. Earlier this week, Russia recognized them as independent states and approved the use of its troops abroad. Danilov said that the state of emergency will last for 30 days and can be extended for another 30 days. Now in sports news, Nigeria's Super Falcons defeated Lady Elephants of Côte d'Ivoire by a lone goal scored by Esther Okonkwo in the second half of the match played in Abidjan to qualify for the 2022 Africa Women Nations Cup slated to hold in Morocco. Nigeria won on 3-0 aggregates after winning the first leg in Abuja by 2-0. We'll join Adeni Ajishafe for more updates on sports.
Federal Capital Territory Handball Association has launched its supporters club as well as musical instruments to support handball, ensuring effective development and promotion of the game of handball in the Federal Capital Territory. Chairman of FCT Handball Association, Ambassador Edward Olutoke, says it is part of board's activities to improve on the welfare of players and reposition handball in the nation's seat of power. This is the first time handball is having supporters club in Nigeria. And in boxing, reigning champion Tyson Fury will face mandatory challenger Dillian White after signing a contract to set up a world heavyweight title fight between the two British boxers, which could come up at Wembley Stadium, London on 23rd April 2022. White avenged a shock defeat to Russian veteran Alexander Povetkin in Gibraltar, January 2021. Fury won the World Boxing Council title, stopping Deontay Wilder in February 2020 following a split decision draw in the pair's first encounter, and enjoyed a successful first defense with an 11th round knockout of the American in October. Fury has not had a bout on British soil since beating Francesco Pianeta at Windsor Park, Belfast in August 2018. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And that wraps up the news hour on Trust Television. Connect with us via our social media platforms and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching.